Hello everyone and welcome back. We are in our day number 3 of the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2015. $2.2 million. I can't say it enough. This is a disgusting amount of money up for grabs, and that's when you see some of the best Dota out there. And well, we're in our second day of group stage play, and now in our second wave. We have 9 best of ones total, and it is going to be a lot of Dota happening. I'm going to be tested to my bitter wits to pull this one out, but I love this game that much, and I've been blessed by a nice ringer of co-casters, and for this match I'm going to have Blaze back with me here. Blaze, how's it going? Are you amped up and ready for some NewBee on Rave action?
Most definitely. It was a bit of an extended break here as they got things worked out on the land side of things, but hopefully no extended pause in the game itself. And we're going to have a pretty intense one on our hands, I think. I was looking at the drafts and how these teams kind of lay the groundwork for going into these best of ones. And the one big thing I noticed was there's a very big difference between how Rave drafts with their Wisp and without. So the fact is that Rave is going to be able to open with first pick Wisp, and that's going to be Rio. It's going to be a really nice one for them to be able to pick up, and it's just they can go forward with a lot of global presence like we saw when Kaka on HGT picked it up, and they can just go for this array of heroes that can move globally, that can sustain indefinitely with the help of the Wisps, Tether, and Overcharge, and it just can put out so much pressure. So I'm really excited to see what is going to happen with this Wisp here in particular and how NewBee responds to it.
Yeah, so second game straight, the team's going to allow the Wisp to fly out, and ooh, we're hit up with an immediate 1-2 punch. You get one of the best counters to the Wisp in the game right there with your red-faced bearded disruptor. The Glimpse, obviously, is able to thwart any relocate plans. You got a second guess, plus the fact that if you want to, you could also just plop down the Static Storm straight on the two of them, and it's just a lot of potential right there. And Shadow Fiend has been all the rage. We were just talking about it in the last matchup, and whether it's Dire or Radiant side, he's seeming to be the new too hot to trot in the Dota world. So serious amount of right click, a little bit of that minus armor already building up in case you want to get more synergy on top of that. Vengeful Spirit is one of the supports with that bit of synergy that hasn't been snagged up or banned out yet. And a Bristleback, speaking of minus armor, is going to be what looks like the partner to Wisp.
Yeah, and I think that NewBee might be expecting this because that is an MVP Phoenix favorite, and obviously Rave, they're very close quarters with MVP as far as team strategies, scrimming, playing, competing, and yeah, if the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree here, is they're really happy to run this draft. I mean, we're seeing a lot in the West, but very, very popular in Korea. IO Bristleback, extremely fun combo. In the off lane in particular, you're going to be able to duo very effectively unless you have some extremely hard lockdown supports and probably a stun on the carry. The Bristleback can just kind of do whatever he wants, and the IO will provide him the sustainability. So I think this is going to be very difficult for them to deal with, honestly, and we'll have to see how it progresses as far as... I'm assuming it's going to be Bristleback off lane, but whether the IO will actually babysit him or focus more on that mid lane. Either way, he's going to get that early bottle and look to control the runes, and yeah, NewBee, they get the Disruptor to glimpse back if there's a relocate play, but honestly, IO and Bristleback can play defensively. They can relocate back to the fountain only. They don't have to offensively relocate to make their mark on the map. They can just really kind of manipulate the fact that Bristleback is such a strong passive with the extra health that IO provides.
And that respect now coming out from Rave to the jungle potential of NewBee, banning outright both Enchantress and the Chen. And they have done many, many numbers on many teams with that early aggression and objective taking. So that does limit the jungle portion quite a bit. I guess if they were still anxious for whatever reason to still go a bit greedy with their jungle supports, Enigma could still be something to go back on, which I personally haven't even seen picked up yet. This DAC, at least as far as the matches we've been witnessing here. But now a ban's going to be coming out after that Spirit Breaker ban on the TA. Maybe fearing a bit of lane dominance potentially right there, but if it is going to be Shadow Fiend in the mid lane, which I imagine, there's still a lot of top contenders out there for grabs. Do you know of anything that maybe Rave might consider, or do you imagine they'll just roll with the Bristle and Wisp dual lane in the mid?
I would still prefer to see IO Bristle on the off lane, assuming NewBee go for a harder carry, which is generally what you're going to see from How. I mean, he likes to play heroes, Weaver, Luna, just generally edgy heroes that like to go towards the late game. So we're probably going to be seeing that, and even like an Ember Spirit would fare rather poorly against all the physical damage being put out. So it limits Hao's options if there is even a threat of the aggressive duo, and I guess it'll be based on the tempo of the game whether or not they want to go for that laning configuration. But I think these bans are pretty smart from both sides. I mean, you're banning out Bananas junglers here. The Chen and the Enchantress are not going to be an option for him, and as well the Rior Spirit Breaker is not going to be coming into play, but that's usually a last pick.
So there's the Vengeful Spirit talking about a bit, so now you get that bit of minus armor, plus he's just such a fantastic support as it is. We can't have a draft without, that'd be appalled. But speaking of other no-shows, Troll and Jug, ignored to this point, still could be picked up. I know it was talked about a lot in the brief pre-show period between our first and second wave. Cinderin was just felt that NewBee, obviously they started pretty slow, 0-2, and then they finally pulled a win together in their third matchup, and that's when they felt like NewBee were going back to what worked best for them, what they did at TI4. This time, though, it seems a bit different with the Shadow Fiend Disruptor grab. This is something we saw begin to develop in Star Ladder, and obviously more with Shadow Fiend recently trending. And now Vengeful Spirit, they're going back to maybe what seems to be in style here. So Clockwork now going to be grabbed up. I'm seeing a lot of him as well.
Radiant team pick.
Overall, great initiation, good lockdown. Could help prison up that Bristleback from being able to go on a tirade.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting pick. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different options and ways to play the draft here, but I mean, if you think about just the circles of death that they're putting out here, obviously you have to be wary of the Requiem of Souls coming out from the Shadow Fiend, making sure you're not too close in proximity to him, but there's also the Kinetic Field, the Static Storm, and the Power Cogs that will really control the positioning of Rave. So maybe you need to pick up a 4-staff dependent support very soon just to be able to pull people in and out of that, because otherwise it's really the tether and the pounce are the only things that'll allow you to maneuver the way you want to, and in some cases those won't even be enough. But yeah, still, I mean, Rave have a pretty open pool. There is a possibility for them to go for the, as you mentioned, Troll Warlord is a very powerful pick in this metagame, and if they go for the Tricore of Slark, Troll, and Bristleback, that gets pretty scary, but it would make their lanes very, very flimsy. So they'd be going with a bit of a gambit on that one, but it's still an option to them. I mean, they have a lot of unique strategies to them. I'm actually looking at their last pick more than their fourth one. Like the fourth one, the Viper, that's just going to be good for lanes, and he's not going to be completely shut down if he gets caught in cogs or anything like that. But the fifth pick for Rave is often a surprise, and we'll see what NewBee bans out.
Also, we're seeing for the second match straight, a Viper Wisp. And it worked really well for Hyperglory team. Maybe they were watching. And they're like, maybe that's something we can try out. But more than likely, we're still expecting the Wisp to be somewhere near the side of this Bristleback. But you know, who knows? It worked out very well for them against the Razor. But this time they got a Shadow Fiend on their hands. But here we go. Final ban's going to be falling out right here. NewBee ban out the Sand King. Support we don't really see a whole lot of as of recent, but I always love his gap closing capabilities and big team impact, though.
Turn to pick.
You know, and if they do end up going on the side of Rave with more of a tri-core lineup, which they kind of have, so it's pretty greedy, and their laning phase becomes somewhat predictable, given that this fifth pick isn't too outside the box. NewBee can get a bit greedy, you know, with their own early laning phase. I know they've already committed to 2 supports, but maybe at this point they can get a core who can really benefit from a lot of farm potential, because I don't see a lot of threats potentially coming in from Rave. This is just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Now, one really interesting thing is the fact that Rave have absolutely no stuns drafted to this point. I've actually fallen into the trap as a drafter myself, where I'm like, oh, I want this hero, I want to hit this hero. This guy's great in lane. This guy does a ton of damage. This guy's super tanky. But then when you draft like 1 stun on your team, half your kills get away because of TP scrolls. It's brutal, but maybe they can do enough DPS to bring down their target. Otherwise, yeah, they're going to be very reliant on their last pick to cancel TPs. I mean, there's a lot of good heroes in the pool. Lion, CM, that kind of thing. I guess the Morphling, though, the Lion would probably be the best option.
Yeah, I mean, for a team that would have no stuns or disables, why not get one of them that have a couple of them on hand? So, and he's already been such a top priority pickup. I would be pretty surprised if they didn't consider picking up a Lion right here. And with that, they could add a bit of aggression early on, not have to be too passive. But yeah, Morphling is going to be your core here. We saw a lot of it from Burning, and he had some good success with it. But now, in the lineup, it's going to be, I don't know. I'm a bit perplexed. What do you think Morphling is going to be able to bring to this game? Above any other typical core support or core carry. I'm already stumbling over my words. A core carry that we usually see as of recent. I mean, mind you, we're still passing over a Troll. And it's going to be the Witch Doctor.
One thing that's really nice about the Morphling is the fact that he can move so rapidly across the map with Replicant, with TPs, and with the waveform. If he's being relocated on, he doesn't have to fully disengage from the lane. He can go back to the jungle. He just waveforms out of that position, doesn't need to buy a blink or a force to be mobile, and How can make sure that he doesn't die to just a quick relocate play. And it's also, if you don't have stuns, I mean, this is a hero that is very happy to be able to cast spells and just survive to no end here. So yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on a little bit of momentum for How, because if the Slurk gets huge, it's actually going to be very difficult for the Morphling to really make the most of the situation, considering how stat dependent he is. But no matter the case, if he can really get some early damage out, get an Ethereal Blade, you can combo that up with some of Moo's nukes, and you can have a pretty good time. So I think the Morphling will do a lot if he gets some good farm momentum, but that's where the Wisp comes into play. Up on the top lane, he's tethered up to Ninja Boogie right now, just dropping down this Observer Ward as quickly as possible to block up the camp, and I believe this lane's going to be pretty heavily contested up top.
Now, I haven't been watching, obviously, a wealth of Rave matches, but this looks like a bit of a role swap here. Ninja Boogie stepping off from his usual support, typically the Vengeful Spirit, and now he's taking the reins of the Bristleback here. And Chrissy, who usually also plays more of an off-lane position, is going to swap spots because, well, I imagine that Chrissy's probably the Wisp player, if you will, for Rave's team. So with that, you get your multifaceted kind of lineups, but which you see much more of nowadays, whether it be EG Secret or what have you. They're happy to swap roles on the fly based on what hero is needed at that time. So looks like the initial bounty runes are going to be popping out right here, and it'll be an even one-for-one trade. Rave being able to claim the top one, which means your Wisp, he gets his bottle. Come on, baby.
That's big. I mean, it is kind of nice for Moo because he went for the Wraith Ban and 2 branches start, so he'll be able to make his way towards his bottle sooner rather than later, which he certainly needs against the Viper. But end of the day, the bottle and the Wisp immediately means you free up the Courier, and you just get to be that much more involved at level 2 when you get your overcharge. Well, sometimes you see the Spirits come out. There's a situation where that can be a more powerful spell, but yeah, as you indicated, Chrissy, the off-lane player, is their Wisp, and although it seems a little like weird as far as the dynamic of the team has to go through to make that work, so far it's been extremely effective. They have an extremely high win rate when Chrissy plays this hero.
So now as the lanes develop, well, let's not forget, I'm seeing potential aggression though coming out from the top. They want to get a bit of pressure on the Chrissy with the early point into the Thunder Strike just to make sure they can really zone him back. If it was more of a solo off-laner, then you can maybe level your Disruptor differently, hold onto the Glimpse, and you'd get away with just simple right clicks. But for now, just wants to get the extra bit of harassment and force them to use those bits of regen early on. But let's get some introductions underway. On the side of NewBee here, bottom lane, we got Rabbit, the recent acquired, the all-star player. Put on a good showing at TI4, but ultimately fell short. Now he's on the champion squad, and he's playing your off-lane Clockwork right now. We saw him do the earlier block to get that Creep Equilibrium back in. Ooh, potential skirmish again top lane. I want to make sure I miss anything, but back on mid lane, it's going to be Moo on your mid lane Shadow Fiend. Hal's going to be playing the Morphling. We got a Banana on Vengeful Spirit, and of course Sansheng is going to be playing your Disruptor.
The important thing to know about the top lane is IO's health pool and whether or not they can actually kill him. Like, if they can glimpse him, magic missile him, pull him out of position, that's huge. But if he's sitting at half HP and staying back, what he can always do is use that as a actual benefit to him. Usually you look at health, say, more health is good. But in Wisp's case, there are merits to having a lower health pool. He doesn't have to focus on overcharging as frequently, and it means that he can actually heal up the Bristleback more readily. He will control the top rune spawn as well, and yeah, he's looking pretty fine there. So it's going to be Rabbit to grab the bounty rune down bottom, and yeah, he's up against a difficult enough lane. I mean, Jayo's running on his Slark. He's very formidable with this hero. He's very active with his pounces, though sometimes actually does not opt for the Blink Dagger to start himself off. I mean, he has gone for Shadow Blades, he has gone for Yasha builds up, and those can be effective in their own right. But he's going to be supported by cast on the Witch Doctor, actually going for opponent Maledict in case they do get that pounce to connect.
I can't forget that name with Witch Doctor. I can't remember if it was the match I was casting with you, but when it was with Ryu, now that I remember, and we kept making the joke. Cask moves in to cast the cask, and he was landing big casks, so I couldn't forget it. So he definitely knows what he's doing on this Witch Doctor, and now they're going to make a go. Save the devil, cask will fly out. They make a go on the Maledict, and they're valuing their early curse. And now Rabbit, oh, that death pack has definitely changed things up, but he does get the cogs off and walk away. Pretty wounded, but he'll be able to heal on up. Meanwhile, top lane, they do make the jump, and we catch the back end of it. It is going to be a takedown. Sansheng gets the last word in, taking down Ninja Boogie on the Bristleback.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. The tether breaking there means the Wisp cannot heal the Bristleback any further, and yeah, they couldn't actually make use of the most important part of this lane, which is keeping the Bristleback as healthy as possible to keep him active with his close brace. But IO does do the bottle trick where he puts the bottle into the inventory of Ninja Boogie when he TPs in, and that refills them and refuels them for some aggression here. They want to be aggressive so that for the 4-minute spawn, he can just juice up once again. Ninja Boogie is essentially immortal for about 30 seconds here. But yeah, still a great kill going the way of NewBee, and of course, being able to pick it up on an active support like Disruptor is going to give him a lot of momentum as he picks up his boots of speed.
Just add an extra little 2 cents to the good old Wisp 101. Also, when you TP away from that fountain, you got to get that overcharge on. That way, you share that sweet fountain regen with whoever it is that's in the lane that you go to. So, being able to get the quick tether out there provides them with insta regen, and with a simple 1 tick of a bottle, maybe even 2, you're going to go from low to full pretty damn fast. So, with that, Wisp is now going to float around this mid lane. Got Rior, who is looking pretty damn dominant in this matchup, going toe-to-toe with your Shadow Fiend. 22-9, Shadow Fiend at 16-2 for Moo.
Yeah, it's the 3 points of corrosive skin build coming up from Rior, so ganks are going to be very difficult to pull out against him, and in general, Moo just can't harass him back. Like this hero, he has good attack damage, the Shadow Fiend, he has a 500 attack range and some really good magic damage with raises, but it's just not very cost efficient when you're up against so much corrosive skin and even the headdress to regen that HP back up. So he can't really force the Viper out, and unless there's a huge misplay, Rior should be able to continue dominating. In the meantime, down bottom, as top of your CS or trading places, is Jo farming up rapidly, and he actually could just go for a Hand of Midas here with the fact that they're already doing so well in the laning phase due to the draft. The last thing I'll mention before I turn it back over to you is that Chrissy making his way towards the mid lane. He didn't get the chance to bottle the rune, but he did stack the Ancients for Ninja Boogie in the near future.
Meanwhile, they get a very nicely executed gank right there in the bottom. There really isn't much to say. Cass just kind of finds a little dark hole to peek his head through, and they get it. A very nice stun, a pounce, and a Cog is not going to save him. So they're finally able to nab that pesky little rabbit. And, well, now they're going to be able to have a little bit extra space and farm in this bottom lane. Jano is already at the top, but this will continue to allow him to peek even further. And he is still holding on to that big reserve of gold. We'll see where he decides to take it. Rabbit returns, and we'll try to take his lane back. But I'm feeling like Rave are getting the best of the majority of these lanes. Maybe the top a bit better, but here we go. They're looking to turn back. Wisp will move on in. Rior trying to dish out the right clicks. The heal's not going to be enough for that raise. They do end up trading in the end, as it looks like it will be to the benefit of the Shadow Fiend getting that XP.
To an extent, but the thing is, the Viper, Disrupt actually going to be going down up top. Ninja Boogie solos him, though he will be turned around against by Hao. Hao's very slow with his movement speed, 335 with boots. Will he be able to get the mana for the waveform is the question here. Bottling up as best he can. He gets the mana. Ninja Boogie with his back turn will eat it and will fall with the last right click.
Wow, very close. Hao's going to morph up that bit of excess tower damage and be able to walk away. He had to sweat it out for that one. Oh man, he's trying to tether forward and use the balls. He gets it done. What a play from Chrissy.
And now look at the Wisp level. You look at 6 minutes into the game and you see like a level 3, a level 4 Wisp. But with Chrissy getting the solo experience on that Shadow Fiend kill and now the solo experience on a Morphling kill, although it's not ideal that a Viper doesn't get a piece of that, you suddenly have a relocate on the field, and that can actually promote more kill action, which will give you more experience overall.
That's when the snowball begins to build up if you're able to get a quick couple of relocate nabs. So with that, Chrissy, who looks to be going right for that urn and is going to, take his time before he gets the boots with the tether. It's certainly not too necessary. Meanwhile, getting a nice little stack in here for the Bristleback to probably mow down later. Just feels like a good efficiency, but yeah, top lane, Ninja Boogie also going to get pulled right back. The glimpse is there. They block him off at the front, and there's just no chance for the Bristleback at that point. They invest 4 members of the NewBee squad to get that one done.
Yeah, the only way that he could have gotten out of that was with a relocate from the IO. Christy was actually on the top lane and was able to tether him out, but even then it's not a guaranteed thing, and yeah, they just aren't able to make that connection. Instead, it's Rior that's being supported in the mid. They want to actually prioritize this mechanism coming out for him, because when the Viper gets the mech, you can actually take advantage of the tether heal as well. If the target that is tethered gets healed by the mech, and the Wisp does too, if the Wisp is missing 250 HP, that 250 HP heal suddenly turns into 625 for the tether target. So a lot of value health could save a lot of lives, and that's why it's just so important. Along with that, they actually have a Witch Doctor, which means that when you start skilling that Voodoo Restoration, you can get the kind of 2.5x coefficient on that as well.
I'm trying to think back. I would be surprised if they didn't have an AA ban early on if they were considering going so much sustain.
First ban, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
exactly why they opened the way they did, is because they had the first ban on the internet version.
makes sense. So with that, they profit from so much hefty sustain power and so much healing that NewBee could quickly realize that these fights are a lot tougher than they think. A very durable Rave squad being thrown together at this point, and well, they're waiting back and about right now. Looks like with the mech getting ready to come on out. Ninja Boogie has been brought down a couple of times. He's at 1 and 3 right now, so he needs to be able to catch back up. And where do you take it from here? It doesn't look like a pipe is going to be too necessary this game. Just kind of down the road of picking up a Crimson Guard to lead things off.
And you're talking about for the Bristleback,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So,
because he's going to be not dealing with a whole lot of real magic damage with the exception of the Static Storm and maybe an occasional magic missile. I think outside of that, though, maybe building up a bit more armor and maybe to start off with the classic Vanguard, though. How much time do you really want to take to even get up the basics?
Yeah, it's a tough call, to be honest. There's no clear-cut way to do it. We've seen Sanj and Yasha become very popular for like Illidan Bristleback playing a #1 position. We'll see how much gold he's actually going to get from this Ancient stack, because it is pretty hefty. They also have a Western Hard Camp stack to build up, and the timing of that might actually decide things for him. Like you mentioned, the Vanguard or the Crimson Guard, that's really good if you get it at an extremely early time, but there's only a couple of heroes that are going to be right-clicking him, and soon enough you're not just worried about the like waveform and the disruptor damage, but you're actually going to take a decent amount of magic damage from the Shadow Fiend. So I could see it going a lot of different ways. For now, though, they're just trying to clear out this stack, but the Observer Ward from the Dire side is making it difficult and actually just relocate back to Fountain.
Yeah, to heal up, but NewBee are swimming nearby. I don't know if they really have the idea. They do see that they were doing the stacks, but they're not going to look to go snab them for now. And we'll walk away towards this top lane, maybe considering a go. Oh, no, it's just a step out from the vision, get a smoke, and re-engage here. We might see a potential breakout at this moment. There they see the ward. And NewBee now, they're going to be in the dark as far as leading things off, and you can see Chrissy's trying to get a bit of that uphill vision. Look who's turning the corner, though. Hal and company come in from behind to flank him, and now Ninja Boogie could be in trouble. Relocate's already been used, and they just wiped the floor with both of them immediately. Very beautifully positioned. Now a death ward from the low ground, but they easily walk away. Now, fakes out once with Requiem. Here comes Jo jumping on in, gets a quick kill on Disruptor. Pops out the ultimate, though. Jo's walking away under the Shadow Dance, but he's still going to be focus fired right here, and they're blasted. How? Picks up a double
That was
kill.
a very aggressive play from Jo. They wanted to turn that around. They even bought back on the Bristleback because they really wanted to make something happen there, but in the end, they just feed it so much more away. They weren't really ready for the fight. If the mech was out, maybe 5 to 10 seconds sooner, that would have actually been a fight they could have contested, but I mean, Jo opened Midas. It's not the time for the Slark to be running into 4 heroes.
Real unfortunate for them. That was just plotted out, storyboarded very nicely from NewBee. They got the information from that ward that Rave had a lot of value in being able to finish out that stack or get it done, knowing that NewBee were nearby. So they pull on back, they pop the smoke and move on forward, and once they're in the dark, they do a beautiful job coming in from behind, and it catches Rave with their pants down, literally. So with that, now Rave need to kind of shake this one off, and the net worth goes right back to square even from what felt like a very promising start for Rave's early game.
Yeah, I don't think they even need to play that way across the map strategically. Like, you are, of course, afraid of what Hal can accomplish on the Morphling, but as it is, you have a Tricore that can scale extremely well into the mid to late game, and I think if they just spread the map a little bit, at least for now, they could push towers, get gold for the entire team as a whole, and seize better opportunities than that. But obviously, hindsight's 2020. We'll try to regroup a little bit here and see what they can accomplish. They do have an Observer Ward on Moo, but Moo has an Observer Ward on Jo, so it's not
they want to go on to Moo. Moo immediately goes for a TP. He will not make it. The last few moments of his hopeful life to live is going to be, well, taken away. They grab that quick kill, and while he's doing the Ancient stack, certainly helps out. Meanwhile, mid lane, Glimpse is going to force the Bristle to get back, but if Reor gets close enough, he has a Viper Strike there. Banana is going to welcome him with a Magic Missile from the high ground, and they look to turn on him. Static Storm is going to look to split them both apart, but San Sheng is going to get the bad end of this deal, at least for now. Jump in, though, comes out from Rabbit. He's able to lock him in place, but they do get that Disruptor. Hal moves forward and dish out some right-click damage, but that ward does plenty of damage, and they're able to bring down a third, make it 4 all day. Now they're thinking about making it go on Hal. They got the boost
they're going to
with
get
the
him.
tether. Hal could be in trouble here, and they're going to make it 5 if they drop this Morphling. Can they get it? They can. Double kill for Ninja Boogie. Rave come back hard in the paint to get that one.
Yeah, those cogs turned into a coffin for NewBee. They went in and they thought they were able to accomplish something with a nice double hook, and they had the Morphling ready to jump in as well, but it goes the other way. The mechanism and the heals in general just keeping Rave alive, and the big thing there, the Death Ward outside the cogs. They had exhausted all of their disables. They used the Glimpse, the Static Storm. The only thing I think they had was another swap that they didn't have mana for, and perhaps not the positioning. So in the end, the Death Ward gets channeled in full, and they get wiped out. An extremely good comeback for Rave as they get turned around. Like, that just, I mean, it makes up for even the buyback and the mistake that they made fighting for their Ancients earlier.
Now Wave forms forward to get some creeps. Bullied back a bit. The rep pit will be taken right there. But this puts Rave in a nice new comfortable position as far as itemization goes. Their mech now online. Ninja Boogie obviously did go down the road to picking up the Vanguard, and now he picks up the Cloak here. Could still throw together a little bit of that magic resistance for his team, and Sandschane's finally going to get rid of that pesky Imba ward that many players consider.
Yeah, the reason that the Shadow Fiend actually died there, he saw the JO approach and he obviously knew the threat of the relocate, but he didn't think they had vision. So he thought he might be like, oh, he's maybe going mid. I don't have to get out of here just yet. I can finish off this last creep, and last creep syndrome strikes again. He wasn't able to TP out, but he learned a valuable intel that the ward was there, and they are going to cover that cliff in the near future. In mid lane, they do have some potential against NewBee, but he's a beast. He is really tanky with a casual cloak, Vanguard, and now he will be working towards that Sange, perhaps at Halberd. But there is one item I want to talk about real quick, and this is pretty interesting. The Yule Scepter Divinity is going to be coming out from Moo here on the Shadow Fiend. It's actually been more and more popular from NA Dota, and I think it was picked up 3 times, but only by NA players. So seeing it actually adapted to the Chinese scene, it's going to be exciting.
That spread real quick. They saw that, and they're like, I want to do that. That looks good enough for me. I can make it happen, and they just immediately take that, and I get so entranced by it. Rior, he finds his own kill, getting a quick nab on the Disruptor in the jungle. Just nice movement coming out from Rave to go into the dark and grab that one. But all right, so Moo going for the delete button item, follow it up with a Blink Dagger, and well, if you catch anyone out, it's pretty much a free pickoff.
There are adaptations to that build I'm not so fond of. I saw a Refresher Orb come out from Sumail at one point. I was like, really?
It was the most expensive Lincoln's pop ever.
You know? Yeah. Well, there you go. Sometimes it can be effective. But we're gonna see how I actually build up his farm a decent amount, despite kind of floundering a little bit in a couple of fights. He is finding a net worth of 5,800. Not ideal since he's behind all 3 cores of Rave, but if that E-Blade does come out, he can pop off the Witch Doctor or the Wisp pretty early on in the fights, and he can actually ramp up his gold quite a bit. But still, NewBee, they can't just leave it at status quo. They're getting pushed in, they're being out-farmed, and they need to make something happen. So maybe with this Yules, they'll try to make a play.
It's a big maybe, though. A lot of these targets very hard to take down as it is. It's not like the supports are really going far. Wisp is always going to be by someone's side, and Cask is looking to do the same. Bristle's big, Viper's pretty big, and Slark is a Slark. So being able to find someone to just get a quick nab with the Yules takedown is possibly going to be a tall order. The top lane, they continue the pressure. They're wanting to get NewBee out from whatever dark hole they're in, and they're looking for a fight. Mid lane, though, Jo. He makes a go on to Hao here, gets the pounce. Will connect. Hao looking to morph up a bit extra strength. He has his Ghost Scepter, so he'll wait out for now and be able to wave form down below and gets the TP at the same time. So he's going to be A-okay and gets himself back inside the base.
But there's going to be a tower trade tier 1 bottom for tier 2 top, and Rave are pretty happy about that one. Just continuing to suppress the space that Morphling has to farm. This opens up the jungle extensively for Rave. They can keep going for smoke plays and relocate ganks, and it's just so hard to actually control this region of the map when you don't have that second tier proxy. But mid lane, yeah, Rior just scouting things out, looking for a poker prod at Hao. But the big thing here is just their overall like durability. I think you should say, like, the Slark, he's got the natural escape mechanisms of the Pounce, the Darkback, the Shadow Dance. The HP pools on Viper and Bristleback are pretty insane, 1,500 and 1,200 respectively. But Rior's got the mech. Bristleback's got a bit more mitigation, and overall they can go on the front line any day of the week.
With that, they press on towards that front line down this mid lane. Also fun to note, Chrissy is indeed saving up for what I imagine being the Blink Dagger. Everyone, all the kids are jumping on the long long tether game. Whether it's a bug or not, if it's in the game, it's valuable. So if IceFrog feels it's not worthy to be a part of this tournament anymore, he will patch it tonight if he's got to. But for now, all is fair. So with that, they'll wait it out. Safe on the sidelines just in case you need to get that emergency eject button to relocate. But they're tier 2 under contention. It doesn't look like NewBee are going to look to put up any defense. It's more of a stall game for them, but I question what they're really going to be able to stall into. Touching with How here, he is still very low on just the net worth chart. Only a Ghost Scepter on hand. Almost built up over 2k gold, but every time he looks to try to take an objective, something like this happens. They TP on in, and he's got to go. Get out of here. Get away from my tower. Don't TP away.
Still no threat to him. The TPs are always going to be available unless like they relocate the Witch Doctor in just for the cats. But Jo going to actually finish off the bottom tower, at least the card of the catapult is, and he's going to be able to walk away, bottle up an Invisor, and go on the hunt once more. One thing to note about this Shadow Fiend is you mentioned option to transition this into Blink Dagger. The other item that you go after the Yules is a BKB to guarantee the spell, but if you're only up against one stun in the entire game, maybe that's not so necessary. Of course, if the Halberd does come through, he will inevitably have to pick it up.
As long as he's not too close and gets hit by any lingering quill damage, I don't think getting the blink off would be too terrible. So we'll have to see if it's going to be enough, because Rave have built up quite the defense. I mean, they are getting meatier and meatier by the moment. Now 1,700 life and growing here for your Bristleback. He's probably not going to be the one you want to focus down with any sort of Yules combo. So at the point where he's trying to just get a couple of quick picks, like the same way maybe your Storm Spirit when he first gets that Precious Orchid, it's seeming like it's not going to be too feasible. We're already get 20 minutes in, and the outer towers have already pretty much all gone down with only one more remaining. I feel like Rave have a strong control of this one, and I think it was their very, very first match yesterday, and we were questioning if there was going to be the Rave of old where they couldn't quite finish the job when they have such a lead. Well, they've been finishing the job. They're 3-1 right now, so they're looking really good, and they're taking it to these TI4 former champions.
Now it's on the clock. The smoke game comes through. There are rocket flares and hook shots available, but casting a rocket flare would show their position, so they're going to withhold it. And they're not going to know how quickly this Roche is falling. They don't even know about the Roche. They're going for a Slark kill. They see the Slark, but they hear the Roche drop. A double damage room bottled for Chrissy, the Aegis in the hands of the Bristleback, and they have to sound the retreat. Running for the hills, running for their lives. They lose out immensely there. How might be able to finish off this top tier 1 finally, but at what cost?
Maybe if this was a pub and there wasn't so much at stake, you could even see the potential aggressive relocate coming out from your Wisp to see if they can cut out some sort of support. But for now, they have easily the upper hand. Now with that extra life, NewBee see that message pop up, and it's going to take a shot to your morale in this match. So with that, Rave are going to easily just segue down, get this tier 2 tower, and then they can impose their will into the high ground. And let's look at NewBee. How much high ground defense do they really have? Disruptor, he's got the Static Storm to kind of lay down, whether it's zoning or not, and kind of sets the stage. You got Clockwork, who can certainly help push back, and if he gets a nice, good flank attempt maybe, he can segregate someone from the group and get a pick there, but I don't know. Blaze, do you feel like they're going to be able to really hold their fort?
It all depends on Moo. He has 3,400 gold banked up, could go for the blink if that's what he wants. Well, the bottom line is if he gets in the fight and hits a huge Requiem of Souls, anything can happen. But as it stands right now, that's the only thing that could keep them in this game. The high ground defense is lackluster at best for everything except for the Shadow Fiend, who has some insane potential if you consider them being able to catch people in kinetic static, and the fact that nobody has a BKB just yet. There is Corrosive Skin, was a Casual Cloak. Looks like Bristleback bench that one for the Aegis the Immortal, but no matter the case, like, he needs to make his Requiem count, because I don't think we've actually seen one this game, and yeah, this is what they picked the hero for.
Not any that is as destructive as the spell looks. When you see that thing cast, you think that you just kind of laid down the law, but if you pop that bad boy off and it's not really getting a lot done, then that's not looking too good. So with that, I think he's got to put off the idea of a blink. It's very apparent they're not going to be the ones going on the offensive too often, and he's got to get something that will help with the defensive. It is going to be into the BKB, and at this point, it's just a smart choice. It's clear that you're not going to be able to go out and do Shadow Fiend things. You're stuck on being able to hold down the law in your own hometown.
Yeah, and we see a BKB coming out for Rior. The Hood would probably be finished by Ninja Boogie when he gets the chance. And of course, you were talking about that tether bug, and that is certainly being utilized by Christie a lot more actively than the other game that we saw. We did see an early blink come out for Wisp and earlier today, but they maybe, I don't even know if they tether bugged it once. They did do it once towards the end, but it didn't really matter. Rior in the mid is being stalked by the Invis Morphling, and this is an Ethereal Blade shotgun combo available.
Maybe inching close with Moo, but they don't get their opportunity. Maybe if they could have led something off with the Yules, but even then, it's a Viper. If you don't get the job done, you're probably going to be in for a hard day. So it's better to play it safe, I guess, at that point. They get their shot in and have to pull away for now. But the farm continues, and Rave have mass dominance over the plethora farm available on the map. Well, NewBee, are, as long as their supports, are just kind of looking for scraps from the table at this. I mean, we're not going to be seeing Disruptor get much more than a boots and a wand and a smoke. This is like a stoner kid who's made it to a Harry Potter party. It's depressing.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, I can't really describe it any better than that. But yeah, one big thing is map control is still not completely out of their hands. The Geometry site is now being picked up by the Witch Doctor, and that will kind of lay in the chokehold to suppress farm. But to this point, NewBee have still been able to get something as far as farm goes. But as you said, the supports that don't farm very quickly, they're left by the wayside, and we'll see if he even makes it to the party.
And with that, I am NewBee, just going to have to watch the clock and stall out. Simply wait for what is going to be the inevitable push from Rave. And Rave are soaking up quite a lot of their Aegis time. And I think they know that, so they've congregated quite a bit towards this mid lane. I imagine they're sweating the clock a bit on this one. It's better to take advantage of this extra life while you got it. With that, Ninja Boogie should be able to take the front lines pretty confidently in hopes that maybe NewBee kind of blow a few of their big skills onto him. Maybe a potential Static Storm, the early hook shot, and Cog setup. We'll see. There's the long tether. Can't even keep it on one screen. I have to go to Skycamp for this crap.
Yeah, it goes up to 2,100 units, I believe, and man, it is fun to exploit. But they can just go on the back end, try to bring down the Wisp, replicanting out as it does not succeed. We are forced about the VKD and the mech on the front line, and the guy they want to be tanking this is the Bristleback, and he's actually full HP still. But Joe comes in with the double damage rune, and they'll get some more pop shots on the tower before being forced to retreat.
Very back and forth, but they're still holding that Static Storm. Rabbit gets the secondary cogs off, and they're stalling as long as possible, and it looks like the Aegis is going to expire. So now Ninja Boogie, I hope he knows that, will be going at it without the extra life. Kinetic Field's going to be there, and by now NewBee had to have clicked in their inventory to see this. So we'll see. Rave clamps back. They get the Eth off, and now they hit him, but it's not going to do a whole lot. He hits him just on the very defensive Tookish, I think, of Bristleback, and well, Raver's still here. This is a very long-winded assault, but slowly and surely they're bringing down this tier 3. Another Cog. Dale immediately pounces on the Rabbit. Big damage, and he commits. Moving forward with the Shadow Dance. The hookshot going to swap him out. And now Magic Missile pushing him back it away, but they're able to burst down the Shadow Fiend. Moo's got to buy back now, and the cast starts bouncing between Hal and Banana. Oh god, Moo goes in, ditches out the ultimate, but they're still good. Rior getting healed up, and Ninja Boogie under the tether is going to walk on away, but that Death Ward keeps NewBee on back. Now, Rave, disperse, Jo, they lost him in the midst of the fight, and now Ninja Boogie's going to go down next. NewBee do hold, and their tier 3 still stands. It does cost the buyback and a dieback even from Moo, but I think NewBee are going to be really happy with this one.
It's going to keep them in the game. Actually, Rabbit might be able to find one more. No, just barely loses the vision out. Rabbit, I don't think he's going to find the snipe here. But anyways, and he's actually just relocated to dodge out any possible rocket flare. That was actually pretty spot on, but in the end, he was relocated back to the fountain, so nothing's going to happen. I don't know. I would like to say that NewBee are happy with that, but they wanted to actually demolish Rave. They did get a couple of big kills, but that's bringing their total up to 9, and they still don't have map control. They don't take the gem, and they still are in the same position they were moments before. Hal will eat some damage here from Jo as he Shadow Blades on forward. No replicant available, but the defensive Ethereal Blade TP should be enough to get him out.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Puts on the Jo. Adaptive strike.
Just pretty quick.
And he'll be okay. Hopes that maybe Jo wanted to still make some fisticuffs happen because Banana was on roof, but Jo does a smart thing and will pull away with that.
So one thing to mention about that team fight real quick is why the Requiem didn't do almost anything. First of all, the Bristle had turned his back. The Viper was the only one to otherwise eat the damage, and he has that increased magic resistance. But the more important thing is his soul stack. Sean Chen going to take some damage, and yeah, it will fall just to the damage over time. of the Viper. But yeah, the soul stacks. He bought back, TP'd in to go for the Requiem. And what this does, it takes your souls from 36 to 8.
Oh, Jo goes for the replicate, and they quickly turn it back. Hal pops in, but the nice Death Ward cast locks him in place. Jo is able to make it out and away from the cog wall. They get the urn off still. Swap back to save Rabbit. Banana's going to go for the TP. We are going to be alive and well, but uh-oh, I spoke too soon maybe for Rabbit. Rabbit's going to get caught right there, and he will drop. They do grab their second takedown with that, which was almost disaster for Jo.
And if it Mu dies again, this might be the game breaker. Right now, he possibly BKB TP. It seems like it's too expensive, but the only thing that could have happened there is getting bashed out. If he gets Cranium Basher, then it is just the saddest thing you'll see. But honestly, that 9-second BKB was worth him because he needs every Necromancer stack he can get.
Almost got Chrissy with the shotgun shot to the mysterious ball face. And now, glimpse back, Bristle's fine, and Jo pursues. Hal could be in trouble right here. Wave is there now, but he can't get it away. Rior gets the mega kill on that one. Rave got a successful pickoff. Morphling is out, but does have buyback. Banana could be next to drop. He will not have a buyback, and he is out. Now, Rave can look to finish what they started, but they need the frickin' creeps. Get the creeps up here, and they can do some damage on the base.
And now Mu is out of the base with 20 seconds left on his TP cooldown. Not sure if Rave are able to kind of keep track of that, a mental note of it, while all this chaos is going on. But yeah, the Shadow Fiend bottling the double damage rune, and all he's doing is building up souls right now. He needs to get 30 or more Necromancer stacks to make his Requiem worth it. I mean, that's the entire reason this hero is here, is to just right-click like crazy with this Requiem after the fact. So they'll go in, they'll defend as best they can. Mu pushing down bottom. The buyback of Hal just to hold the line until Mu is ready. He's charging up. 28 souls is what it's going to have to be. He can go in BKB, double damage, and Requiem now.
Well, he gets Fenching immediately. The Disruptor will drop before even a Static Storm's going to hit the field, and they've taken down one set of racks. Now they look to go onto the melee, the more precious of the two. War's already BKB up, and they do get the stun off. Mu is here. Can't find the opportunity to get the Requiem going. He does the self-heals right now to remove the slow, but that's what he gets to drop right now. Here comes Rabbit to try to save him, and the swap back. Precious Mu is going to be okay for now, but that ward creates just that extra bit of space for Rave to finish what they started. The mid lane Rax is going to go down, and NewBee have their backs against the wall at this point. 18-9, and now skyrocketing towards the 17k gold lead.
Yeah, absolutely disastrous. They're just being zoned too hard. There's so many abilities that do insane amounts of damage. Just Mu cannot stand his ground. He cannot actually find a position where he can be comfortable to jump in. Now, not only do they lead with the racks falling in their wake, but they place a couple of nice observer wards to have full understanding of NewBee's positioning as they move for defense. So this is a free roach just based on the fact that the observer wards are in place in NewBee's base.
Bristle gets to finish off a sweet, sweet stack right there. And already building up towards that BKB. Had the Basher already on hand. And I think this is the BKB now coming to his pocket. Give me that. Yeah, he's got it. And now contention towards the Roche pit, though. NewBee know this is going to be a prize pickup here for Rave. They want to thwart those plans. Mu is going in there pretty confidently. He's got the replicate by his side. Maybe doing some sort of potential bait play, or at least scouting it out for now. Rave are on their way. And Ninja Boogie's leading out the charge.
Nice. Oh, the BKB glimpse.
Oh, yeah, he's still going in. He breaks down that cog wall. And he goes right into the heart of the Roche fight. And now hit fight really breaks out. Rior, unstoppable. Desperate Hal waveforms to the high ground. And Rave say, this is our Roche. Get the hell away.
That death ward from the outside is really nice. Does get swapped in the end, but that just brings more people in a pit to bring it down.
Chrissy goes above and beyond behind. Will blink. They catch out Sanshing with that. And now we'll take down that support. Meanwhile, back behind Banana. Jo's there. Pounces forward. Gets slapped in the face with the F. And they're going to go for Banana.
GG.
Yeah, this has got to be it. NewBee go down to Rave. Who'd have thunk?
Well, I honestly, like the way it was looking before this matchup, it felt like NewBee weren't really playing their game. I like their attempt, I like their adaptations, but in the end, the Tri-Core wins out. I mean, the IO Bristle did a lot of work on the top lane there, and obviously, Jo had a free lane to go for an early Midas Shadow Blade. They made one major mistake around their Ancients, but beyond that, they had a really good game overall, and NewBee, they were just not in the right position at the right time. Their supports were under-farmed, and overall, they just couldn't get enough done. That last play there, that was the last-ditch effort to snipe the Roche, and because of the Observer Ward left in their base, the smoke was known in the first place. Rave didn't go for it. They waited. and they set the trap. So really, really nice game for them. 32 minutes, they take a victory, 22-9, and with a very solid lineup. They will be just buffing up their win rate here in DAC.
They look so good, and these Sea Boys are going to continue their journey now with an impressive 4-1 record. And NewBee, who'd have thunk, they get knocked down now to a 1-4 record. So they really need to look to shake this one off. There's only so much time and so many games before they're going to have to decide, and the bottom 4, they don't get to move on. So with that said, that's going to conclude wave number 2 over here on BTS2. I'm KotLGuy, casting the English coverage for you over here. You catch me on my Twitter at KotLGuy. Blaze has been joining me, and he will join me for the next matchup as well. Catch him on his Twitter at BlazeCasting. Our next matchup on this stream is going to be, and I had it right in front of me, IG taking on the boys in blue, EG. Oh good, this is going to be my first time I get to see EG. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be coming up in a moment. We'll see you soon.